was supposed to be an ordinary day in court, a courtroom filled with quiet whispers, papers shuffling, and the smell of polished wood. The judge adjusted his glasses, preparing for yet another routine hearing. But destiny had other plans. The courtroom doors swung open, hard. A police officer stumbled in, being dragged by his own canine partner. The German shepherd's eyes burned with urgency, not aggression. Gasps filled the room. Everyone froze as the officer struggled to regain control. The dog barked, loud, commanding, like it was trying to say something. The judge rose halfway from his seat, startled. "What's going on, officer?" he demanded. But even the officer didn't know. The canine pulled toward the front of the courtroom, claws scraping the floor. It wasn't looking for danger, it was trying to reveal something hidden, something no one expected. The silence that followed was heavy, electric. Because in that moment, the dog wasn't just following orders, he was about to deliver justice in a way no one had ever seen before. And when the truth came out, it would shake the very foundation of the courtroom and change lives forever. This is the story of the canine who exposed the truth no human dared to speak. The courtroom had seen many cases before, but none like this. Every head turned as the dog's bark echoed through the wood-paneled walls. The judge's gavel froze mid-air. People whispered, unsure if this was a stunt or a mistake. The officer holding the leash looked pale, confused. "Easy, Rex. What's wrong, boy?" he muttered under his breath. But the dog wasn't listening. It wasn't aggression. It was desperation. The canine's training told him to sit, to obey, but his heart said otherwise. Something in the air was off. Something hidden in that courtroom. The judge's tone grew sharp. "Officer, control your animal." But deep down, everyone could feel it. This wasn't normal behavior. Rex sniffed the ground, moving toward the defense table. He barked again, louder this time, right at a black duffel bag. The defense attorney frowned. "What's he doing?" The officer knelt, tugging on the leash. "Stop, boy. You're embarrassing me." But the canine refused. The audience held their breath. The tension could have been cut with a knife. The judge slowly leaned forward, curiosity taking over authority. "What's in that bag?" he asked, voice trembling slightly. The dog growled softly, nose pressed against the fabric. And in that haunting silence, everyone realized this wasn't a random bark. It was a warning. The courtroom clerk cautiously approached. She hesitated, eyes flicking between the officer and the judge. "Sir, should we open it?" she asked quietly. The judge nodded, his voice barely above a whisper. "Do it." The bag was placed on the table, trembling under curious stares. The officer looked down, sweat forming on his forehead. He didn't bring that bag. No one knew where it came from. Rex stood alert, tail stiff, ears pinned forward. The sound of the zipper filled the room. Slow, deliberate, terrifying. Inside were documents, photos, bundles of money wrapped in police evidence tape. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. The defense attorney shot up, shouting, "This is outrageous!" But Rex barked again, silencing him instantly. The judge's face went pale. "Whose bag is this?" No one answered. Eyes darted across the room like guilty shadows. The officer stared at his partner in disbelief. How did the dog know? Who put it there? Why today, of all days? The truth was slipping through the cracks, and Rex was determined to pull it all the way out. Officer Daniels had worked with Rex for 3 years. They trusted each other like brothers. They'd faced gunfire, chaos, and darkness together. But never this. Never a courtroom-turned crime scene. He knelt beside Rex, whispering, "Buddy,
What are you doing?"
The dog's eyes met his, filled with something human. Pain. It wasn't confusion. It was clarity, the kind that makes your heart stop. Daniels looked up at the judge. "Your Honor, I don't understand." "We didn't bring that bag," the judge frowned.
"Then who did?"
Rex growled again, this time pointing toward the defense table. Daniels froze. The defense attorney, the same man who had been overly calm all morning. He shifted uncomfortably, beads of sweat glistening on his temple. Rex's instincts were undeniable. Daniels knew that look. It meant danger, deceit, betrayal. The crowd was silent, waiting for a command. Daniels swallowed hard. Was it possible? Could a trained officer be part of something dirty? His loyalty wavered for the first time, not toward his badge, but toward the people behind it. And in that moment, Daniels realized his partner might be the only honest one left. The judge called for order.
But the room had already lost it. Whispers turned into accusations. The defense lawyer's hands trembled. "I don't know how that bag got there,"
he stammered. Rex barked once, sharp.
"Accusing." The officer's heart raced. Rex had never been wrong before. "Search the contents," the judge commanded. Daniels began pulling out the documents, police reports.
Case files, evidence tampered with. Signatures forged. Gasps filled the air. These were sealed documents, never meant to be seen. The attorney tried to run his hand through his hair, but it shook too hard. This
is a setup,"
he cried. The judge slammed his gavel.
"Sit down."
Rex growled again, stepping closer, teeth bared, not in anger, but justice. Daniel's voice cracked. "He's been hiding something, sir." The attorney's face turned
white. Every secret he thought was buried had clawed its way out, thanks to a dog. Human could have found it, but
Rex's loyalty wasn't to men, it was to truth, and now truth was standing right in front of everyone, wagging its tail. The judge leaned back, visibly shaken. In all his years, he'd never seen anything like this, a courtroom led not by lawyers but by a K-9. He took off his glasses, rubbing his eyes. "Officer Daniels," he said quietly, "do you trust your partner?" Daniels nodded without hesitation. "With my life." "Then I trust him too," the judge whispered. Rex barked once, as if confirming. The audience held their breath. The judge turned to the bailiff. "Secure the defendant's table."
"Nobody leaves this room." Chairs scraped. Panic set in. The defense attorney started shouting about his rights. The judge slammed the gavel again, harder. "Order!" There will be order in this court. Rex didn't move.
He just stared, unblinking. The air was heavy with revelation. Daniels looked at his partner.
Realizing something deeper. This wasn't just about corruption, it was about loyalty to the law.
To the people, to the truth, and the one creature showing that loyalty wasn't even human. The judge sighed, voice breaking slightly. "Sometimes," he said softly, "justice doesn't come from where we expect it." And in that silence,
even the gavel seemed to tremble. The defense attorney's confidence melted away. His eyes darted from the dog to the evidence bag. He could feel every heartbeat echoing in his chest. "This is a mistake,"
he shouted. But the room wasn't listening anymore. The truth had already spoken, through a bark. Rex stood firm,
nose pointing straight at the man. The officers'
grip tightened on the leash. Daniels
had seen criminals lie before, but this was
different. This man was panicking like prey. "Hush," judge's voice cut through the noise. "Mr. Hayes."
"Sit down before I hold you in contempt." Hayes stumbled backward,
nearly tripping over his briefcase. Rex moved forward, controlled, alert.
Unstoppable, the smell of fear filled the air. Daniels whispered, "He knows, sir. He can smell the guilt." The courtroom gasped as Hayes suddenly lunged for the evidence bag. The bailiff moved in,
wrestling him to the floor, papers scattered, money spilled, every bribe, every betrayal now visible to all. The judge's gavel thundered like justice itself. Enough!
This trial is over.
But it wasn't over for Rex. He stood over the scattered papers, barking once more, not out of anger, but victory. He'd found the truth no one else dared to look for. Silence returned.
Heavy and raw. Hayes sat cuffed, his suit torn.
His mask gone. He looked defeated, cornered by truth and loyalty. The judge leaned forward. "Mr. Hayes, do you wish to speak?" The attorney's lips trembled. Tears welled in his eyes. He nodded slowly. I
planted those files.
I bribed officers.
I tampered with evidence." Gasps filled the courtroom. Daniels froze, unable to breathe. He wasn't ready to hear what came next. "I was paid to bury cases."
To set guilty men free. The words cut through everyone like a blade. Some jurors covered their mouths. The judge's expression hardened, grief mixed with rage. "And who paid you?" he asked. Hayes swallowed hard.
"Someone inside the force!" Daniels's stomach twisted. Rex whimpered quietly, as if understanding the weight of betrayal. The courtroom erupted again. This wasn't just corruption.
It was cancer in the system, and somehow a dog had sniffed it out first. Daniels clenched his jaw, tears burning behind his eyes. His heart broke, not for the man in cuffs, but for the uniform that man had poisoned. The investigation began right there in the courtroom. Officers moved in, collecting evidence from every corner. Rex sat beside Daniels, calm again, mission complete. But Daniels wasn't calm. He felt shattered inside. The realization hit him like thunder. The rot was internal. The badge he wore wasn't spotless anymore. The symbol of justice had been used for greed. He looked down at Rex, who stared back with pure eyes. No lies, no politics, just loyalty. The judge watched them both, silent but thoughtful. "You've served this department with honor, Officer Daniels," he said. Daniels nodded weakly.
"Sir, I just followed my partner." The courtroom smiled faintly at that. Rex's tail wagged once, breaking the tension. But Daniels wasn't done searching for answers. He turned to Hayes, voice cold.
"Who was it? Who in my department?" Hayes hesitated, eyes full of fear. "They'll kill me if I talk." Daniels took a step closer. "They won't, not while we're standing," the judge nodded gravely. In that moment, the man with the gavel and the man with the badge both realized they weren't the heroes today. The true hero was the one wearing fur and courage. 2 weeks later, the case hit national headlines. Police dog exposes corruption in courtroom. Blared across every screen, citizens demanded answers. The department scrambled for damage control. An internal audit was launched, one that uncovered horrifying details. Several
Officers were arrested. A
whole network of bribery and cover-ups collapsed overnight, and at the center of it all stood a K9 named Rex Daniels, watched from a distance as the headlines rolled. Couldn't believe how one act of instinct had rewritten justice. The chief called him.
"In Daniels," he said, voice rough. "Your dog just saved this department." Daniels smiled faintly.
"No, sir. He saved our soul." Medals were awarded. Cameras flashed. But Rex didn't understand fame. He only understood love at home. Daniels removed his badge and stared at it. It still shone, but now it had meaning again. The kind of meaning built by sacrifice, not authority. He looked at Rex lying nearby.
Eyes gentle, tail thumping. "You did good." "Buddy," he whispered. Rex blinked once.
then closed his eyes. Peace had finally replaced the noise. Months later, Daniels and Rex stood in that same courtroom, only this time there was no shouting, no chaos, just respect. Small ceremony was held for bravery and service. The judge who once trembled now smiled proudly. This courtroom owes its honor to a creature of pure truth, he said. Applause filled the hall, echoing softly. Rex sat tall beside Daniels, wearing a medal on his collar. It wasn't gold or silver. It was the weight of gratitude. Reporters asked Daniels how he trained his dog to do all this. He smiled. I didn't train him for justice. He was born with it. Rex wagged his tail, looking up with soulful eyes. The crowd fell silent, watching that bond the kind words can't describe. Daniels knelt, whispering to his partner, "We may wear the uniform, but you carry the heart." The judge placed his hand over his chest, deeply moved. Some moments in life, he thought, don't need laws, they need love. As the ceremony ended, Rex barked once.
A sound of peace. Not the bark of warning this time, but of closure. The courtroom that once echoed with corruption now held purity again. Daniels saluted.
Rex by his side, both heroes in silence, and when they walked out together into the light, everyone stood.
Not for the officer,
but for the dog who proved that justice still breathes. Sometimes truth doesn't need a voice. It just needs a heartbeat. In a world where men lie for power, a dog spoke only in loyalty. Rex didn't wear a badge to be seen. He wore it to serve. He didn't chase glory. He chased what was right. And in doing so, he reminded everyone what justice truly means. It isn't found in papers or promises. It's found in the courage to stand.
Even when you're alone. One bark changed an entire courtroom. One
act of loyalty unmasked corruption, and one bond between a man and his dog restored faith in humanity. Because loyalty can't be taught, it's lived. Because
love can't be ordered, it's earned. And
because justice sometimes walks on four paws. The judge never forgot that day. Neither did Daniels. Every time Rex rested his head beside the uniform,
it felt like the world was a little safer, a little truer, a little kinder. And that's how a single dog reminded everyone, justice isn't blind.
It just needed a heart that could see.